should change it then.
People be like, so what you're saying is, all this is fraud. We don't believe in none of it.
Maybe we should let you guys pick it up.
Oh no, it's too late now. We can't go back. The Great Escape is it.
Oh gosh.
Goodness,
I'm
that's
bad. I'm bad with names, so.
no, that's cool. We got it. We got it. We actually live now, Grandpa. Dr. Cohen, we're live. This is another episode 80. Uh, yeah, we done made it. We done made it 80 whole episodes. You know, the YouTube has not destroyed us, so that's great.
I can't
Huh?
believe we've been around that long. 80 episodes.
Yeah, it's been over like a year and a half. You know, we're gonna get it done.
We ain't that much to talk about in a year and a half. We didn't. We must have had some repeats or something.
Let me introduce Dr. Cohen. This is Dr. Cohen. She's me and wife's family doctor, also doctor to everybody else. She went to U of M, but she got her. I think you got your doctorate from Michigan State, or
My master's, and then yes, my medical degree is from Michigan State.
yeah, so that's legit. So you know how it is, haters starting out here. But we normally beer in, but I'm not sure if your medical side of it. But give a little blurb about yourself.
So yeah, my name is Victoria Cohen. I am a family medicine doctor. Focus is primary care. I'm from Detroit, Michigan. So I did go to Martin Luther King High School, and I did my undergrad studies at University of Michigan, where I studied women's studies, and I got my minor in biology. And then I later went on to Michigan State College of Human Medicine for my master's in public health. And then I did my medical degree at Michigan State's College of Osteopathic Medicine. So I would say my passions are preventive care medicine, but we're in a different time too. So the focus now is getting everybody through this pandemic. So yeah.
Okay. All right. It's commonplace. Let's beer in. Grandpa, what you got today?
What I got?
Yeah, what you got today?
My beer?
Yes, your beer.
I got a Modelo, doesn't need no introduction. I had it last week. Week before.
You didn't have before last week. You had Molson Ice last week, didn't you?
Ice?
Yeah, I think so.
Maybe the week before that, then. Awesome.
Hey, okay. Well, give your pre-rating. You gotta get the pre-rating and ranking out the way.
Oh, yes. It's well, I can't. I ain't got my glasses, so I can't.
Well, it's Modelo. You got to rate. You know what Modelo is.
Yeah, but I was trying to see what the alcoholic content in Modelo was, but I'm gonna give a pre-rate. I can already say it's a 6 to start with. From 1 to 10, this is a 6.
Okay. Well, all right, that's fine with me. You know what? Today, I'm sorry, everybody. I'm trying to get because normally we Uncle Pooh and everybody on here, but I got Longboard by Kona Brewing. Longboard. It's an island lager. So we're in paradise today. Smells like, as Grandpa likes to say, it smells like beer.
Yeah.
So based on that, I'll give it a 6. Just on smell. And it tastes like beer. It'll get to 6.5. I'm not gonna go too crazy today. It's good. It's good drinking beer. It's drinkable. You can drink a lot of it, probably. I'm not going to because I'm still working today. But it's the show. Huh?
What's the name of it again?
Longboard Island Beer.
Longboard Island Beer.
It's an island lager.
Oh, okay.
You might like it, Grandpa. You might give it more than a 6.
Yeah,
You said I know, but it's cool. It's cool. Oh, also, forgot to say one last thing. We got an announcement, Grandpa. We got an official sponsor. We got We Juice to sponsor us. So everyone who's watching, We Juice, our code is CBZ10. That's for $10 off your order. Couch Boys Radio. Drink your vitamins. We're big, Dr. Cohen. We're big on fruits and vegetables and trying to better ourselves here. Grandpa is a senior
Absolutely.
Olympian. Grandpa's a senior Olympian.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Yeah, he's done it. You did. What do you have your medals in, Grandpa, for the Senior Olympics?
No, I was running. Well, it's been a good while now because I got that patellar tendon My doctor's been telling me it was the arthritis that was doing it, but my
Oh,
arthritis wasn't.
what was your medals in, Grandpa?
Oh, okay, 100 meters, 200, the 400. I was doing the long jump, 50 meters. But like I said, that's been a good while. I've been in trouble with my leg. It
Uh-uh.
limited, like we
Well,
did on Cleveland.
well, we had the Weed Juice guy a few weeks ago. A friend actually, Uncle Pooh Bear, but he sent Grandpa some juices that were, he does them himself, all fresh. He sends them
I got,
nationwide.
it's um, hmm.
You had the ginger shots and stuff too.
It either comes out right then or I forget.
Cool, but I get them. It's great stuff, man. It's like I
Yeah.
said, drink your vitamins. You feel great. You
Oh,
get
I
the
know what I want to say.
energy.
I'm gonna get some of the detox.
Oh, we'll get you some more detox. We'll definitely get you
All
some
right.
more detox. But for everyone who's listening, it's CB Z Couch Boys 10. So that's 10. So CBZ 10 for $10 off your order. But let's get into it. Dr. Cole, did you have something that you want? You beer and you want something to drink, or are you just drinking water?
Had I known, I would have brought my kombucha, but I only have water.
You know what? It's all right. We'll have to have you as a repeat guest. So let's get some things. Let's get some questions out the way. So Grandpa, do you have any questions for Dr. Cohen? Because we're talking about the COVID vaccine and everything today, and just things in general about it.
Oh yeah, I'd like to know. Every time I've tried to make an appointment for something, they either ain't got none, or I've called the wrong place, or they got wait till they call me. I kind of got the runaround, so I just wait till maybe the dust clear up and then try again. But I definitely I'm involved with the Henry Ford Clinic, and I was on my chart, and I'd go on there every day, and they said, well, we haven't got anything yet, but just keep on trying, but don't call us.
So it actually has been pretty difficult for some people in the community to get the vaccine, which has been, mostly related to the fact that it's a limited supply. So we have to make sure that there's enough for everybody to be able to get it. One of the good things though is to be in touch with your primary care doctor, because most of the healthcare systems does have a plan in place to make sure that their patients are being taken care of, and working, with the state to also be able to follow the plan basically. So there is, a certain criteria for people to meet, meaning that, they start off with the healthcare workers in the hospital, they're doing some ambulatory sites, and now they're kind of focusing in on certain populations, being like the elderly, people who have chronic diseases, so who will be at high risk for it. So that's why you do want to make sure you're kind of in touch with your primary care doctor to see if the plan, is still in pursuit, or has there been any change to it, because it is based off the supply of the vaccine and how much each system has basically. But there are some community places as well that has the vaccine. So some people are in touch with some of the local pharmaceutical chains, because you can get the vaccine there. But a good start would be to either go to the CDC's main website, and they do have a particular tab for the vaccine, but they also do have it at the michigan.gov, where they also have the COVID vaccine, where they have more information, and also to cover where you may be able to even get the vaccine based off your county. So those are all good areas to start.
I was in that 1B group, um, and I told my what's going. I'm assuming then that they ran out of vaccine, because I was in that. I'm 91.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought sure I'd be up front with some of the essentials. Right after the essentials, then come me. But I can't seem to get in contact with me. But I'll keep on trying.
Absolutely. We definitely encourage you to keep on trying, because it does come down to it being almost like a bottleneck effect. There's so many people and they're still in that timeline. So the timeline for that first group is still not over, most certainly. But again, given the supply, and a limited supply at that too. And I think that's where, our new president is working to actually try and increase the supply that we do have. But that is one of the rate limiting factors, so to speak, is that we don't have enough right now, but they're working on providing more. So that's why being in touch most certainly is a good idea. So stay on top of it, basically. Yeah.
Will do.
Okay, I got a question from Brandy. She's Grandpa knows Brandy. She's been on the show before, but she was talk. She has. She's not. It's more of a reflection of her experience. So she has gone. She's saying she's gone to the doctor, and she's like, not just for this particular vaccine, but for vaccines that she's experienced in the past, where before they asked for her insurance, they had a, she said they had a syringe out, but then after, when she informed them that what insurance she had, they like, oh, we can give you this vaccine now. So to she said that to her was very strange. She never experienced it before. Can you explain to us what that means exactly? Like, why are there different vaccines? Why does your insurance matter? Like, what's the difference? Like, is it huge? Like, because that sounds worrisome to me. Like that there's different vaccines based on how much you can afford in your insurance.
No, so I don't think it's a matter of what you can afford and based off the insurance, but similar to the COVID vaccine, there are multiple different manufacturers. And so with certain insurance plans, even like with medication, they do have particular vaccines that they have already purchased or assigned based off your insurance. So it's not that the vaccines are different besides the fact that the manufacturers are different, so there may be subtle differences between the two, but the effectiveness basically in the study process are the same. So they all go through the FDA to be approved to be administered to people, but it is based off the fact that each insurance company does have a certain manufacturer that they are linked to. So that is, and basically I'm not sure what kind of insurance she has, and I don't think we have to go into that, but with certain insurances, you do have to check because it's a matter of coverage as well. So if they were to give her or anybody else with a different insurance a vaccine that's not covered, they may be liable to pay for it. And nobody wants to pay for something that's already covered through their insurance. So that's what that's about. Was
Okay.
that okay? Was that clear or does that?
From what I heard you said, now correct me if I'm wrong. So you're saying that each different uh each provider chooses which vaccine company or what vaccine they're going to cover for your
The
insurance.
the insurance company themselves have certain vaccines or certain manufacturers that are under that insurance plan. So it's not the doctor, but it's the insurance plan themselves that have a certain link to whichever manufacturer.
Now, why is that? Do you know, or is that just like a the thing?
That can be, it can be kind of tedious, but most certainly it is about again, their purchase. So they purchase those a certain number of vaccines they purchase from that manufacturer. It is their kind of contract and stuff like that. So it's kind of similar, I would think, to any kind of large chain business who has certain products there. They kind of pick which product that they want to supply, and that's based off, again, their negotiation and kind of a lot of other things, most certainly. But the key part is the vaccine safe, which, again, the vaccines that we do administer, they've all been tested going through the full process, so they are safe to do. And again, how effective they are similar. So there's no real grave difference between the two, except for the fact that one may be a little bit more expensive than the other one. One may be more accessible than the other one. And so that does play a role into, what the insurances look at when they kind of make those decisions.
Okay, I got another question here. Can you ask her if the vaccines are the same? Why is one dose and the others two doses?
So both Pfizer and Moderna are two-dose vaccines. So they are similar in the fact that they are targeting that spike protein of the coronavirus itself. Now the difference is, they may have subtle differences as far as the materials that are in the vaccines themselves. And again, they are different companies too. So those are the differences between that. But as far as, how effective they both are about 95% effective at preventing or protecting you from COVID, the COVID-19 vaccine infection.
I've heard a lot about spike protein. What is that exactly?
Yeah, so it's a component of the virus. So most viruses have, their own cellular structure, similar to, the human cells and things like that. A part of that virus structure, it has a protein that allows it to attach itself or to adhere to certain parts of our body. And so that's where these two vaccines are targeting that spike protein, which allows that the virus itself to adhere to our respiratory membranes and kind of causes infection to start to replicate itself.
Okay, Grandpa, you
Mhm.
got you got some questions in here. I see your head shaking.
No, I'm all ears, on this. Okay, the COVID-19. Is in Europe, do they have a vaccine for just one dose? Seem like I heard something about it on the news. They don't have to, back up to 2 shots, or do you know of that
I
in
am
Europe?
not. Sorry, no, I'm actually not well versed in the vaccine as far as Europe goes, but it is going to depend on, the manufacturer, and it depends on the type of vaccine too. So
Mhm.
right now in Michigan, we have that, or not in Michigan, but the US, we have the mRNA vaccine. Whereas in other places, they have developed vaccines that can either be live vaccines or an attenuated or inactivated vaccines. They can be DNA vaccines. So they vary places to places, which is why they may actually only have one dose compared to our 2 dose. But as far as what we have in the US, we are trying to make sure we get that boost of the immunogenicity to it as well. So that is why there's a certain amount of immunity that we get with the first dose, and then when you get that second dose is where you start to get those higher levels where you get that 95% effectiveness of preventing COVID infection. So that is why we have a 2 dose series.
That's on the second dose, where you get
Yes,
that 5%.
you get that increased boost, yeah, that carries you out.
One dose. What is the percentage there with just the first dose?
So it's going to vary again. It's a newer vaccine, so they're not 100% sure, but it is getting close to about the 95%. But you do start to trail down as well. So we actually need to reach that steady state to keep you at the 95%.
Okay. So you were talking about, you said there's different types, like, so you said mRNA. So what, like, is the effectiveness change based on the different type of way they have the vaccine created, or is there like a better one? And we just, what is like, you said there's different ways.
Right. So, and again, it depends on, I won't say one is better than the other. Most certainly what we have here, and as far as what, our FDA system has approved, is the mRNA. So right now the other candidates are in trial. So we don't know how, efficacious they are. But what we do know is based on the studies that the Pfizer and Moderna have been able to do is that they are 95% efficacious. Now, as far as other vaccines go, and this is standard for basically any vaccine that we have, there are various types. So that's why you may have heard, your doctor or your healthcare provider say, well, this is a live vaccine, or this is an inactivated vaccine. And it depends on exactly what the carrier is or what are they targeting to get the vaccine through, and how they're trying to protect the virus or the bacteria, whichever it may be, the infection, the initial infection is. So that's why I list off the different types. But there are some candidates as far as COVID goes with those different types. But right now, they're still in those study phases with the FDA. So they have not been approved
So
for emergency use, I should say. So they haven't been used for emergency use, because right now, Pfizer and Moderna are being used for emergency use through the FDA.
So when you were saying, so like you say, you weren't going to give an opinion. I'm not putting words in your mouth about like the different types, but if this wasn't like a pandemic and they're just doing it regular, what would be the preferred way to make the vaccine? Like what type? Is it the live one the best? Like what is the best way to go about this?
Yeah, so that's where it becomes difficult. And it's not necessarily that I don't want to push an opinion. It's more about what the studies say. And so right now, some of these trials are still in their early phases as far as the studies go. So we can't say whether or not they're better. But in regards to some of the other vaccines, it depends on what they're targeting. And so right now, again, the mRNA is targeting that spike protein. So that's why everybody's saying, like, this isn't a live vaccine. We're not giving you COVID, because again, it is basically the protein that's there to actually target that spike protein and prevent it from adhering. Now, when you get into other like live vaccines like measles, mumps, rubella, that's a live vaccine. And what they determine the best way to prevent those is to actually administer some of that viral component that's there. Whereas other ones like the influenza vaccine, it has multiple different types. We used to do more of the live one. And then you kind of have the inactivated one. So you're actually not getting any live components of the influenza virus. But we found that both of those have been effective as far as preventing, those infections. Now, one of the difficulties got into is when we got into a certain delivery route for the influenza vaccine, that we started to see that there was a little bit more risk than benefit. So it's all about seeing what's, the safest model. And depending on the virus, there are going to be different ways to kind of to carry out that vaccine, whether it's live, inactivated, or by a protein source. So you have to take it to basically which bacteria or virus you're actually working with. So that's what I'm saying. Neither one is better than the other. That's what the studies prove. So.
Okay. So I guess more questions here. Someone asked, how long do you believe it provides protection?
Right. So that's another one. Again, a lot of these questions, unfortunately, the answer is going to be we don't know exactly. What they're seeing is that, the vaccine, so to speak, right now is at least effective for a few months. But it's so new that we have to have additional studies to go about to see how long it does it truly last. We just came out with the vaccine itself not that long ago. And so, in the studies for this particular vaccine, not mRNA vaccines themselves, but just started not that long ago. And so they were carried about 20,000 people in the population. So they're at least seeing a few months, but we can't say, how long it'll last. The immunity will last. Will last.
Okay. And we got another one. um, with the new variants that are out, this goes back to the thing what Grandpa was asking about. With the new variants out, do they believe the vaccine protects against those strains, or that's actually the question? Do they believe they'll protect against those strains?
Right. So one of the good things, so they are seeing these different variants and things like that. And so, of course, more studies have to be done. But what they're seeing so far is that there is actually not much of a difference in that spike protein, which is the key thing as far as those two, the current two vaccines that we have right now. So they are still seeing or feel that it will be protective against, the current variants that are there.
Grandpa, what are you thinking about this, man? Grandpa, you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
That's what I'm saying. What do you think about all this?
Sometimes I a little hard of hearing. What did you say again?
I said, what do you think about all this? She just dropped a bunch of knowledge and gems.
I mean, she's explaining some things. Plus, she's uh, clear. I can hear. I can understand her. A lot of times, people talking, I can hear them, but I can't decipher it because of the I don't know, the volume or something. It seemed to be kind of monologue.
Well, you guys sit closer to the speaker, man.
I mean, she's excellent.
You said
the word she said.
you sitting back like Dr. Claw from Inspector Gadget, just chilling in the back.
Sometimes you got to sit back and take some things in and process. It could be a lot, especially with this, this new virus. So it's a lot.
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot of stuff. There's a lot of stuff people are afraid of, and like this because it's so new. Like, I'm like every day we see in the news, like we see somebody who's like, especially some celebrity take it. Like it like you see older celebrities, you see some older, especially in our community, Black celebrities take it, and then like a couple weeks later, you see that they passed away. So like a lot of that's scary, and it makes me want to just chill in the house until we figure out what these side effects are. Because I'm like, I ain't got to go nowhere anyway. Me and Grandpa, we share beer via delivery. So, we chilling. But like, for the people who got to like, people who got to go to work, some people who got to go in the office, like that's terrifying, not knowing like if you're that percentage of people who get affected negatively. And like you're saying, just like how you're saying, like they don't know exactly everything about it yet. Like when you see these COVID related, COVID and COVID vaccine related injuries or deaths, and you hear your medical representative say we don't know yet. Like if it was because these people are affected because of these reasons, that leads to like this is this we studied it, we understand. So, but it's definitely one of those things where it's all of everyone's on edge. All of it's scary, and it's we want some answers to some of these questions. I know Grandpa, he's quiet right now, but
Right.
I'm curious though about the pandemic. On January the 6th, when all those people were out in front of the Capitol, what's the chances of them taking that maybe virus and spreading it throughout? Because they came from all over the United States. I'm just wondering, will they be able to track that and find out did they spread it or what? Because they didn't wear no masks and they were just out there, and I just couldn't understand. Common sense would say with a crowd like that, at least you should cover yourself up. No. Going back to the 50 states, and what are they going to take it back with them or something?
So that is the risk, most certainly when you have large crowd gatherings like that, there likely there is at least one person that does have the virus that's there and that will spread the virus, especially with them not, doing those protective measures. But To answer your question, as far as like, will they be able to track it? That is the beauty of public health. That is, we have a certain specialty called epidemiology that are there to go back and do disease tracking. And so that was some of the major things in regards to when this pandemic first kind of kicked off here in the US, was trying to figure out what's the best way to track back where these things are originating from. And so, that's where we kind of ran into difficulties. But that's something that they worked, really hard at actually developing and seeing like, where did this, particular initial kind of infection or this outbreak start. So most certainly there are ways to track that and looking at certain strains. And that is where you have to be, and they call it kind of contact tracing as well. So that's one of the methods to go through and kind of see like, who have you been in contact? Where were you at? What's the timeline? So, it's actually pretty fascinating to be able to go through everything, but yeah, that's possible. So, but unfortunately, yes, with that large crowd gathering and other large crowd gatherings, it is a high possibility to spread the infection, because what we do know is that there are quite a few people who do have the virus. Some people don't have any symptoms at all, so they're asymptomatic. And some people have mild symptoms that they aren't really confessing to, or they said it's related to something else, because the virus itself can mimic other infections. It can mimic a sinus infection. It can mimic, just a common cold. It can
chameleon
mimic.
virus.
Exactly. And unfortunately, there are things that we are discovering about the virus, is that it has a ton of manifestations in itself. So, so it is best to, again, follow those protocols as far as trying to minimize how many people gather, and definitely not crossing. So now Michigan is kind of working to open things back up, where they say you shouldn't have more than 2 household gatherings. That minimizes their risk of spreading it, because number one, have you been isolating yourself? Okay, excellent. Not having more than 10 people together, that limits the possibility of having the infection go about. It also makes contact tracing very feasible to do. So,
Well,
yeah.
So what do you? Oh, I'm sorry, Grandpa.
say, for instance, you got increase in a certain area.
Mm-hmm.
Would they be able to track whether that came from Washington D.C. or that just something that came people coming through with it or something? Or would
No.
they be able to say that came from Washington D.C. in the uprising?
Right. So, and combing through everything in a very tedious fashion, they would be able to kind of narrow things down to a certain location, a certain time period. Because what we do know is that people typically, can start to show symptoms within 2 days to 14 days. So when you start to say, like, you're talking to, or, interviewing, so to speak, some of the people who have the infection, you kind of say, well, where were you in this time period? And then you start to say, okay, so you were here. Then you start to see who all was in that same kind of environment as well. And then that's how you kind of slowly start to narrow things down. But it does take time, and it does take, interviewing and things like that. So the question would be, is it important to allocate the resources to do that versus going through trying to do other protective measures?
Uncle Pooh Bear is coming in hot, Grandpa.
Everybody's in.
Hey, he's coming in.
Hey, hello.
Hey,
This
what's
is
up? How y'all doing?
here. This
Good,
is
how are you?
Dr. Victoria Cohen. This is Uncle. This is Freddie Taylor with Uncle Pooh Bear. He's
What's happening, Doc?
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. I'm good. How you doing, Pops?
Oh, I'm doing great. Doing great.
we're asking Dr. Cohen about this vaccine, and everything about it as much as we can. So she was telling us all, like, Grandpa asked her about, like, when the uprising happened in DC, like, how are they, like, and she was saying the contact tracing and like how they can find out where all this stuff is happening. We actually got some more questions here. So another question came from saying, oh, this is actually from my wife. She said, what's the most important thing you would want to share about the vaccine, and how to behave after receiving it? And the follow-up question was from actually someone else saying, after you actually you get a vaccination, do you no longer need to wear a mask?
Good question. And I will tell you, sometimes when I get multiple questions, you may have to let me know if I missed answering one of them. So you may
Right.
have to. But to answer your wife's first question, I would say I think the most important part is to just let people know that while the vaccine itself, these two are relatively new, the studies about mRNA vaccines, period, are not new. they've actually been studying mRNA vaccines for quite a few years. And that is because coronavirus, this strain is actually new, but coronavirus itself is not new. Coronavirus actually can cause upper respiratory infections, typically mild, almost like the common cold. So that was a big thing. But what they saw is that, through preventive measures, is that we were actually to get those infections under good control. So they kind of did let go of pursuing additional studies to actually put out a vaccine for it. But with this newer one, it's kind of kicked back into gear to say, hey, we actually do, because this strain is actually killing people, unfortunately. We've seen, hundreds of thousands of deaths related to it, and pretty significant morbidity in regards to this infection as well. So that would be one of my biggest points. The other part is that, these two vaccines and the other ones that are kind of in the works too have gone through each phase of study or trial studies to show that, they are safe for use in human beings. And so most people do become afraid because they hear about the side effects that go along with it. And, the side effect profile is not that much different than what our standard vaccines are. And of course, we cannot say who will have a severe reaction compared to somebody else. We just don't know that. It's person to person and how your genetic makeup in your body kind of responds to it. But what they do know is that, most vaccines, when you look at the larger number, do not cause, most people do not have these severe, allergic reactions or responses to it. And with that, that there is a number that you can call as well if you do have an adverse reaction to it. So there's kind of always some systems in place. We just don't always know it. Let me 1 second here. So I make sure I got that one out.
You got any questions, Lego Pooper? I know you came in just a second ago, but we've been talking about this for a minute.
Oh, that's cool. No, I only got a few more minutes. I got another meeting I got to prepare for at the top of the hour. We're hiring somebody. We got some interviews going on here.
Fantastic.
Let me see. What about us that don't take the regular vaccines, right? Like we don't get the flu shot. We don't do none of that. Mm-hmm. How you gonna convince me? Like I'm probably like impossible to convince, right? Sure. Like, because I know this. I've been reading, right? I read up. I try to educate myself, right? I'm not an anti-vaxxer. I just wash my hands and take care of myself. I never get sick, right? I mean, knock on wood, right? But I don't know. I'm concerned that the trials were rushed. I know that the technology is based on stuff that's been, you guys have been testing for a long, long time. Mm-hmm. But in this particular form, like it seems hurried and rushed, and we don't know what what is it gonna, most people are like, I ain't not gonna grow an arm out your neck in 5 days, right? Yeah, I'm not worried about 5 days. I'm worried about 5 years. I'm thinking about 3 years, like what, how can you quell like some of those concerns, I'll say.
Yeah, so you are bringing the heat with this one. No, I'm just kidding. But
I'm sure you've heard it all, right?
No worries. No, that's a legitimate concern. That is a legitimate concern because it is different than the other vaccines our traditional vaccines that we do have, where they have been out for quite a bit of time. But I guess the answer would be is that they had to start somewhere too, and it is a little bit of, we have to trust the system and trust science, but we are taking a little bit of a gamble to say, hey, this new vaccine is out. What about 10 years from now? What about 20 years from now? And the answer is we don't have an answer for that. Right now, we're dealing with a virus that actually, again, like I said, is, it is causing a death for quite a few people. And so I think it is important to protect ourselves the best way we can. And what we are seeing is that, washing your hands is very important to do. Wearing your mask, keeping your social distancing is very important to do. But it's a very infectious virus. And it was, people who, when you talk to them, they say, I actually have been doing that. I've been bunkering down. But we do know that we have to go out in the public for some stuff. We have necessities where you grocery shop or something like that. And maybe the person, bank today, right? Yeah. Exactly. And so, some of the smaller things that we do know is that we touch our face more often than we even realize. So there are those small little subtle risks that are there. So then what do we do about it? Because again, this virus is taking people out. And so a vaccine had to be developed basically. And Go ahead, Saya.
Out of your response, this is what I appreciate.
Okay.
The honesty.
Mm-hmm.
Like what I've been getting is, no, it's safe, just take it. Like, come on, fam. Like you can't don't talk to me like that. So I think more in the industry and more of the spokespeople, if they would just give me some honesty, right? Like just don't try to sell me on you already 1,000% that this is gonna work. Like, and you ain't did the study, the research. I mean, you haven't done the extended trials, right?
Right.
So I just appreciate that. That makes me want to listen to you more. Because it adds more credibility for me, being the skeptic that I am.
No, but it's definitely this is important stuff. I mean, you got to know about you. This is your health. You should have everyone should have an interest in their health. And I know we didn't. I wanted to ask you to answer the other question about like someone asked a second ago, well, while you were answering before. So if you take this, can you not? Do you have to wear a mask still?
Right, exactly. So yes, you do have to wear a mask still. And the reason why that is that with anything, it's 95% efficacious. That does not mean that you cannot get COVID-19. Unfortunately, you do still have the risk of getting COVID. You know, one of the things is with some of the other vaccines, you may have heard people say, well, I got my flu shot, I got my pneumonia shot, I still got it. And so that's because, you know, these viruses and bacteria are smart, you know. No, they do not have brains, but they have the potential to change themselves, which they do. And so that's why you not have a variant that's there. But again, you also have that small window where you can actually still get the infection. Now, and I can't say that for COVID, because again, we don't know, it's new. So studies are still happening. You know, that's why we do need people to sign up for questionnaires or what have you to say, hey, I will be a part of the study to kind of say how this kind of impacted me or did not impact me. But with some of the other vaccines, you know, we do see that there's a milder course of it. So it doesn't impact you as severely as if you had not gotten it. You may have a shorter course of it and things like that. So I won't apply that to the current COVID vaccines because I can't. But and to answer or to follow up with what Uncle Pooh, is it Pooh Bear?
You can cut it short. We'll give you
Uncle Pooh, okay. All right. But to answer what we do know now in this moment, in the short time period that we're doing things, is that, you know, it appears that the vaccine is safe. Okay. Of course, there are people who do have, you know, the low grade temperatures, or they do have the body aches and things like that. And so, you know, that can be intense to push through for a little bit, but those things typically resolve themselves in 24 to 72 hours. And so it is,
That's
you know,
minor.
Yeah. And so it is just kind of like push things out into that long haul to see what the overall effects will otherwise be. And the other thing too is, will it be any different or unexpected from what we kind of naturally have as we get older? You know, there are some diseases that may happen that you may say like, oh, I got that COVID vaccine. That's why this happened. And that's not necessarily true, you know? So it is a little bit of, and when you ask me like, how would I sway you? How I typically do things is I just put everything out there on the table. I'm like, this is what we have. This is what we know. And now you have that information. As long as you understand that information, it is up to you to make the decision what's best for you. You know, just understanding that we are dealing with a pandemic and we don't know who's going to have a mild, you know, infection, or who's going to unfortunately end up in a hospital. So, but that is where it's kind of like, well, you know, this is my body and I get to make those decisions for myself. So that is how, you know, I typically talk to people.
I like that.
Yeah.
I like that. I like your stance, the position. I like all of that. And that it makes me more comfortable, right? Because I was at the bank and talking to the president, and she was like, her girlfriend, huh?
I was trying to fill in the blank as I said teller, you said president. I just
that's
the welfare right there.
I was like, the president
I got a special relationship, you know, with the bank. But she was telling me about her girlfriend. Her girlfriend's granddaughter got COVID, and the baby is 15 months, and like, I mean, that's so frightening, right? Like, I'm definitely not ignorant about the dangers of this vaccine. And I understand Pop's position, like, because I know he wants to take it, right? And I totally get that. But I got a weird question for you, right?
Okay.
Are you familiar with the Cuba's vaccine?
I am not. I do have to confess and admit that I am not. But what made you question it? Teach me. What makes you curious about that one?
So it's a long-standing thing on the show. Every time someone brings up Cuba, you got to drink.
Oh, okay.
Grandpa's been dropping dimes about Cuba on us for, I don't know, like this whole run of the show.
Yeah, 100 and some episodes.
Oh, Cuba.
Look.
There we go.
Cuba sent their vaccine. The Chinese are using it.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
So I'm assuming that Cubans kind of step up on us, because if you look at the virus over in China or in Asia, it's way beyond what we got here. We get a pandemic, and they say it started over there. I'm not even sure where it started at, but the Cubans are helping throughout the world, with their knowledge. So they may have something better than what we got,
And that's why I asked is because I got a higher trust in the Cuban medical facilities than I do for the United States. It's no disrespect to you, Doc, right? But the U.S. is controlled by money. It's not controlled by the interests of the people, right? So, Pfizer, Moderna, as soon as the companies started talking about putting this out, they stock rise, right? Like boom, through the roof, and all these people are making money. So to me, I don't feel like America as the institution has the integrity that if they found out something was really wrong, that they would pull it all off the shelves and let all that money disappear, right? I have no respect for the country's integrity, right? Mm-hmm. So that when you start talking about putting stuff in my body, and I know that this is a commercially driven enterprise, it makes me go, I don't think I want that. I think I would rather fly to Cuba. And if I was going to take the vaccine, I would rather go to Cuba and take it. That would be my thing, right?
Yeah, no knock to Cuba, most certainly. But I think that each system has its own level of corruption. I'm not saying Cuba's corrupt, so don't take it that way.
No, ain't nobody 100%. I give you that. Yeah.
But I think that most certainly a lot of places has their own kind of their motives behind things, and sometimes it does turn out to be kind of a mutual benefit, most certainly. Where you do have it to where a company gets involved and they have their interest there because it is a potential to make money, but that doesn't mean it's any less effective or safe for people to do. Now, I do think that increases the risk of you saying I got questions, I got some hesitancy here, but most certainly that is where the studies are going to come into play, and that's where you have to find a trusted expert in it to say, hey, I actually can analyze studies. I can actually look at, and that's what we're trained to do. We're trained to look at the population number. We're trained to look at, okay, what do these numbers mean? Because there are certain things that have to come with studies. You're looking at what's the confidence interval, p-value, all this kind of stuff, or all these numbers, statistical analysis, basically. And so, and I think that one of the things, and I'm appreciative about, learning from doctors who have been practicing medicine for a very long time, is that they don't always say, yeah, I'm in agreement. They actually say, I was looking at the numbers and they don't really add up to me to say this is actually that significant. But that's where, it's going to be important for us, while we are getting the vaccine and, people who do not get the vaccine to actually be a part of studies. And not saying that you have to, inject stuff in you as far as that goes, but more so if you happen to get it and they say, hey, we noticed that you got this vaccine. We actually have a study to see what the long-term effects are. Are you willing to sign up? One of the things that we do know is that, we as, Black people can sometimes say nope, I'm not putting my name in the system. And so, and I can understand that too, because we as a healthcare system do have a lot of work to do to regain the trust back from the public. And that's something I've always thought, even coming up in my training. But nonetheless, I think it's going to be one of those things where you kind of have to put a little bit of trust into something. And again, if you make the decision to not do it, then, that just as long as you got the information, we respect that. But I do think it's important to, whether you do get it or don't get it, to kind of always be involved. So what's the next step? What do we need to do next? Because hopefully this virus goes away, or at least goes to a number where we can, get better control of things, which we are seeing in Michigan. We are seeing the numbers go down. So that means that the tools that we are doing are working, the social distancing, washing our hands, wearing our masks. And that's why, the governor said, hey, I'm actually gonna have to shut some things down because we need to get these numbers under better control. And we see that when we do that, the numbers go down. What we see is when we open back up, everybody starts to say, hey, I'm not wearing my mask. We start to see the numbers go back up again. So yeah, it's a complex thing, and it's a whole lot of different, I call it like an onion. So many layers. Once you peel back one, is something that's there next. And that's where you can start to get into getting bogged down in some of the smaller things when we need to take care of the big picture that will take place.
Man, I really wish I could stick around. I gotta go. Like we got the interview at the top of the hour. I gotta have a meeting real quick.
Stay for this last question, Uncle Pooh Bear, because you might be
trying to get me in trouble. I'm gonna change my shirt while I'm in the background. All
right. Actually, so this is a question about a few people I know who are like either nurses or doctors. So it's I know a few of them that have taken it already, but I know a few people who have not taken it yet, who work in the medical industry, who are like, I'm not gonna say exactly what they do because I don't want to throw nobody out there, but like what do you feel about, what do you think about that? I mean, I know like do you like, I'm assuming I think you told me that, did you take it or not yet? Or
I did. I got both doses. I got the Pfizer vaccine. I did have the soreness in my arm, but that was the only side effect that I experienced. I do have some friends that have gotten both Moderna and Pfizer, and they either had the soreness in the arm.
Double fisting for vaccines now?
No, or because they actually they do not recommend that you get both. They do not recommend that you get one and then turn around and get the next one. It's basically you get Pfizer or you get Moderna. And so
I got a dash. I'm sorry. I'll be back if y'all still on. Just inbox and let me know.
Good luck.
All right. Thank you. Nice to meet you.
You too.
Pops, I'll call you afterwards.
Grandpa, like, right, all right. But
yeah, whatever. Like, run along, peasant.
But yeah, so some people did get the mild headache, they got the body aches, some people did get the fevers and stuff like that. All expected, as far as the vaccine goes, because we do know our immune system is doing what it's supposed to do. And that's basically trying to get those antibodies ready for protection. But so yes, I do. What do I think about people who are in the healthcare field who don't get it? I think that again is their personal decision. I am a big person to say we all should make our decisions on, we got our, as long as we are well educated on what the risk and the benefits are. And I think one of the main jobs that every, physician, healthcare provider does is to provide you that information and the best from what we know. This is something that is evolving very quickly, most certainly. So it's important to stay up to date on everything, but you definitely want to have, a trusted source who can provide you with information.
So
go ahead.
I'm sorry.
I was going to actually say, you want to make sure that it's not just looking at certain blogs and things like that. You want to make sure that it's backed by studies.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm. I just thought it was interesting because I've a few of them, not all of them, some, but not all, as is tend to say, ever like, well, they're like, I'm not going to put any words in his mouth. They just basically said, I'm not taking it. It's too new. I just don't trust it. Mm-hmm. And it's like, if you're in the medical field, that again, like there's a lot of, that's not just from them. Like there's, like we said earlier in the show, there's a lot of people who are like Uncle Pooh Bear's lane, but like they're not anti-vaxxers. They're just like, this is so new. Mm-hmm. And we've already seen in broadcasting news, which honestly could just be a few people who are like, honestly, and in every vaccine, there's going to be a few people who like, it happens, you're going to die. Like that, just, you have adverse effect. You might be allergic to something in it. It just, stuff happens, but it's like, we don't know exactly why those things are happening yet. And that scares a lot of people. But like I was saying, I guess I'm really getting to the point of like, you're saying a lot of people should be able to have the ability to make decisions for themselves. Are you in the camp of doctors or just people in general? Do you think this stuff should be mandatory, or you think it should continue on as we've been going on, as people should get to choose whether or not they take vaccines when on their schedule or not?
Yeah, so I just speak from my own personal, my own perspective.
Yeah, absolutely, just from your own experience. I'm not getting anybody in trouble.
No, I just want to make sure that's clear to everybody. I'm not representing anybody else other than me. But most certainly, I wouldn't say that I think that it should be mandatory. That's a tough one. I'm not gonna say I think that it should be mandatory. even though, it is pretty, effective, and it has, a high rate of transmission and stuff like that. So I don't think we've kind of gotten to that point yet. But I do think that I am a believer of, supporting the vaccine. If, your doctor, you've talked to your doctor, you've gone over your health conditions and stuff like that. Everything's been reviewed for you personally. And if you're okay to get it, I think you should get the vaccine, most certainly.
Okay, yeah. I mean, I definitely respect that. I mean, like Uncle Poober is saying, there's some people it's just like you're an idiot if you don't got it already. What are you doing? And
Yeah.
it's one of those things where I'm like, that's cool and everything, but like you've done it where you've backed it by like this is what our research says. I've been working with this, but at the same time, if you don't feel this way, don't it's your choice. And I think it's important for people to want to learn before they make choices. And like I said, it's if this was out for years, I'm sure people would have been like, hey, we got some paperwork on this, we know what's going on, be more comfortable. I honestly just think, like most things, people were like, fears from lack of understanding. And I think that once more, like the longer this goes on, the more research will be done, and like the more people will be like at least have an understanding of what they want to do. And you've done a great job of sitting here with us and explaining all these things. You want to add something?
Yeah, the long-term effects of the virus. Uh, People over 65 ain't too much concerned about the long-term effects because their existence might be short-term. But people, the younger generation, 50 and under, because 90% of the people dying are getting the virus are not 90% over 65. So you got a younger group of people who say, well, maybe I can fight it off, because their mortality rate is a little slightly different, So, like with me, I'm not concerned about the long-term effects because, hey, a heart attack or anything else can get me,
Right. Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
the younger generation who's thinking, oh, what about 20 years from now, what effect will it have on me? And so that's what a division is.
No, I think you said something that's very real. Some older people are not necessarily thinking about the long-term effects, because they are looking at, what's my life expectancy to begin with, But nonetheless, we still want to make sure everybody's safe, living the best life that they can live, most certainly, in good health, most definitely. And so that's where the issue comes into play, is that younger people, while they may not be getting, the mortality rate may not be as high. That's why I used the term morbidity earlier. And so it's kind of, well, what will happen once you get this virus? Some people will recover completely, not have any impact. They are seeing it younger people because, again, this virus has done some crazy things that we didn't even know would be possible. Some people are having strokes from it, developing blood clots, developing clots that go to the brain. So that's the stroke, developing clots that go to your lungs. So that's the pulmonary embolism. Clots are going some of everywhere. And so what are the long-term effects of that? Well, some people have difficulties in breathing from that. Some people have heart issues from that. Some people have weakness on one side compared to the other. And so, those are the things that we're seeing that young people are not immune from. And so that's where it's important to say, I should protect myself, not only, because I wanted to bring this up too later on for the whole wearing the mask and the vaccine and stuff like that. It's not even just always about protecting you. It is about protecting other people who are very vulnerable to it and to those effects. So that is, people who have other chronic conditions that are, our elderly family members and things like that, and the little babies too. So that's why I think it's important for people to not just brush it off and say, hey, I'll recover from it. So that's one thing. And then the other part too is, we don't know who will recover fully and who will not recover fully. But I know for me, I don't want to find out if I will be that person who does not, recover fully from it. So I think it's important to have all the information to make the best decision, to follow preventive measures, most certainly, hand washing, social distancing, and then wear your mask, most certainly. And now we do have it to where you are able to get a vaccine, when it's you're eligible for it in that time frame. But I do know that some people are asking too, well, what ways can I, boost my immunity and stuff like that? And so I do want to bring that up because I think we are getting ready to end it maybe. But, while vitamin D, vitamin C, and zinc have been very helpful and things like that, there are still some things that your body will just be susceptible to. So that's where you want to follow those other measures as well. And then the other thing too is that to stay up to date as things are evolving, because some people are saying, well, I'm doing my echinacea. And what they found is that if you don't have COVID, echinacea, fine, go ahead and do it. If you're, I'm not sure of everybody's health condition, so check with the doctor. But the other part,
echinacea.
Yeah, so it's just a natural kind of health supplement, basically, that some people do to kind of help protect them, to boost their immune system, basically. But what they saw is that if you actually do have COVID, you run the risk of increasing that cytokine storm potential. So increasing inflammation in your body and actually having a bad outcome or effect from taking the echinacea. So that's where you have to be careful about things that have not particularly been studied just yet, even in a short time period. So just stay on top of everything. And
what are you saying? Grandma and Grandpa been saying for years, you take your vitamin, your Ester C packets, you good.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, doing that and basically doing everything that you can that's in your hands, most certainly. Take your vitamins. You want to make sure your body is in the best shape and the best health that it can to fight things, because our body is actually really good at fighting things. That's the whole point of a lot of mechanisms that's there. That's why I do think the human body is amazing, most certainly.
So we got we got questions. We got you done blew up the thing. People are talking about, what about my elderberry?
Right.
I take my elderberry. What about that?
I'm sorry. I'm sorry, echinacea. It's elderberry. I'm sorry. It's the elderberry, not the echinacea. Sorry.
See now you done changed it up. People are like, wait a minute. She done said my elderberry was good. Now my elderberry's bad.
I'm sorry. No, your elderberry is not. I'm not saying it is bad. I'm not saying it's bad. But one of the things that
What about my sea moss? Someone just said, what about my sea moss?
Right. The sea moss. There's no studies as far as the sea moss goes. I think that's something that's kind of newly coming about, as far as seeing a lot more people taking sea moss. Sea moss is one of those things where you just want to be careful in regards to the fact that if you are on any other medications, that it's not going to reduce the ability for that medication to be absorbed or even speed up the metabolism of it. So that's where you just want to touch base with your doctor in regards to that. But just to clarify, I did mistakenly say echinacea, and I actually meant elderberry. So
came out here, everyone was like, this is out here dropping dollars. We can trust her. And now she just said echinacea for elderberry. What did we?
I know.
Half the people then be like, I ain't taking nothing.
Oh no, well, I am human. I made a mistake. I'm sorry, guys. But I'm glad somebody did say elderberry, because then that way I could clarify, like, oh, actually, I'm sorry. But those are some things that are brought up on the CDC website too, so you can also check that out too.
CDC website says don't take elderberry when you get your
No, it's not the COVID vaccine. It's if you have a COVID infection, acute COVID infection. What they saw is that you may be at increased risk of having that cytokine storm if you have a COVID acute COVID infection.
What is cytokine storm?
Yeah, you're trying to. So I definitely love small molecular stuff like that. But our immune system actually makes cytokines. So it's like a chemical messenger in our body. And so sometimes that can actually increase inflammation in the body. And that can be used in our defense, our white blood cells used as a defensive mechanism, but sometimes it can go awry. And if you have too much inflammation in the body, that can, that's how you get that respiratory distress and things like that. So that's what the cytokines are. They are chemical messengers in our body.
Grandpa, I saw you rose up for a second. You didn't spark this so Grandpa he been putting me on supplements for years. So.
I'm interested in the elderberry. What is the benefits of elderberry?
It's just one of those things that they found or they believe is an immune booster, basically. So,
okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So why would it inflame anything?
No, it's not causing it does not cause an inflammation, but what they see is if you already have an acute infection, there's inflammation that's there can be some cross reactivity leading to increased inflammation. So it can cause you to go into that where your body actually is going awry. So while it is producing those, immune effects, your natural immune effects, you can start to add on top of that. So if you're already basically having these cells do what they're supposed to do. And our body's white blood cells does cause some inflammation that's there. It's a part of a healing process. But if you get too much of a good thing, it can be a bad thing. So it's fine that you increase that risk of that. And that is if you have an acute infection.
We done started to open the floodgates. Now people are asking about, what about sea kelp?
Oh my God. I will tell you, I'm going to confess it as well. I don't have a problem saying everything I'm not well versed in. I am not well versed in some of those kind of other natural supplements that may be a little bit more not as well known. So yeah, I can't say as far as I do know most people will take those because they're trying to increase their micronutrients or some of the minerals in our bodies that our cells use to basically make themselves or to rebuild themselves. And so I can't speak to everybody individually because you may be on certain medications where certain elements can actually counteract your medication. So that's why I always say, if you're taking something, take it to your doctor. They may say, I don't know, but likely they will say, I will look into that for you. Okay.
I'm this is gonna be the last one from
That's fine.
So,
yeah.
I got somebody because I don't know how much longer we got you. So we got so someone was brought up that vitamins, the vitamin industry is like a big scam because you need the minerals too, because your body just can't absorb raw stuff without the other part of it. Like, how true is that? Like, what is this situation like? If you take like like they got these crazy like vitamin D 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 stuff, but like, what is that like? So if you don't have minerals involved too, you can't absorb it, or what does that mean?
So not that you cannot absorb it, but certainly there are some vitamins and minerals in our body that they have cofactors that help them to be absorbed. And not that it just helps them to be absorbed more likely. Now, as far as the vitamins go, I can't say it's a scam system or not, but most certainly our bodies do need vitamins. We do need minerals and things like that. Most often you can get it from your diet. So that's why it's important to have a healthy, well-balanced diet. I don't typically say start eliminating stuff from your diet because there is the utility for a lot of different things as far as, your plant-based vegetables go and things like that, healthy fats and stuff like that. But as far as the vitamins go, people started saying, well, they have 2,000, 1,000 in my daily recommended value. I don't think you personally need all of that because your body actually has only a certain number of receptors to bring stuff into your body. But if you are somebody who's known to only eat certain things, where you're like, oh, the only thing I eat is meat, or the only thing I eat is processed food, then it may be of benefit for you to take a multivitamin because you're not getting, the other food sources to kind of help you out. And what we do know is that your body does need these things in order to make the cells and make them as functional as they can be. So that's my answer to that. But water.
Water solubles, vitamins.
Okay.
If you take so much of it, the body throws off the water. It takes what it needs, and what it don't need, it just flushes right out. Is that true?
Absolutely. And that goes along with the certain number of receptors that your body has. So there's going to be, your body will absorb some things, that will absorb what it needs, and otherwise it's going to get wasted out, into the waste system, most certainly.
Okay. Well, I mean, I don't know how much longer we got you. We done had you on for like forever. We sometimes the show just runs on. That's just what happens.
Okay.
But I know we only said an hour, so we'll wind down. But we got to do our final thought. Stay on after the we cut off the live because we got to do the thank yous and all that. But you're the guest. What's your final thought today? And thank you for coming on and spending some time with us, answering a lot of questions.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, first, congratulations on you guys' first sponsorship. Congrats on the success of the show, making it your 80th show and everything like that. My final thought most certainly would be, I guess, a couple of different points. Number one, treat your body well, meaning that, develop a plan to make sure you're getting, a pretty, again, healthy, well-balanced diet. Start with small changes, and then that will lead to making major changes because it's all about, life-sustaining things, life-sustaining goals, life-sustaining actions. And the other part too is, just try and, increase your knowledge as far as, COVID and the vaccine itself, taking in, multiple different sources, but most certainly while the medical community has a lot of work to do to regain the trust of the public, just know that, that studies exist for a reason. Most definitely look at the numbers and, just make an educated decision that's best for you, for your family, your loved ones, and protect yourself. If you are, I'm not saying don't get it, but most certainly if you are like, I got questions, I'm holding off, most certainly follow those other protective measures. So, washing your hands and things like that. But keep in mind that there are other ways to get exposed to it, even if you are following those precautions, because nobody's just bunkered down in the home 100%. You're getting mail. So there are other ways for it to get to come into contact with you. So just be safe.
What's your final thought, Grandpa? What are you about to say?
I was thinking, she's educated quite a few people. I mean, I'm quite sure some people out there, the question that we asked, they were thinking the same, asking those questions too, you know.
These the people asking us stuff on the chat. They're the people who watch our show, Grandpa, they can ask us questions. That's what I'm asking their questions.
I was saying, but she provided enough information about that virus, you know, that a lot of people maybe who didn't call in or didn't chat got that information and be helpful to them, you know.
Right.
She did very good coverage on it, you know. So I'm pretty sure a lot of people out there pretty happy.
Oh yeah, I mean, definitely. I mean, she didn't have to do this. She didn't have to, like, a lot of people, like, you know, she's a doctor. She didn't have to do all this and put herself out there because, you know, people start tripping over stuff like that. But she didn't. It was great. She answered a lot of questions, and she was real about it. You know, she gave, you know, she didn't give us no canned answers. So it was great. At least that's my opinion. I don't know. She could have wrote this on a piece of paper for reading it all, but I don't think she did. But no. I guess my final thought is, you know, I appreciate Dr. You know, I'm afraid of the good Dr. Victoria Cohen's time. She then came in and helped us out today. She might be our new medical correspondent. We don't know. We got to talk about that after the show's over. You know, as everyone, be safe out there, make good decisions, do your research, because, you know, this is your life. Can't nobody make choices for your life but you. We'll see you guys next week for hopefully episode 81, if Grandpa's not too tired of us yet. Don't hang up on the live thing. All right, we'll see you guys next week. We're signing off, Grandpa. Don't hang up the phone, Grandpa.
Oh, okay.
Bye.